You've entered Interstellar Chronicles. Close your eyes and drift into another world, a place where stars whisper forgotten names, where time folds and destinies collide across galaxies. Your journey begins now. A humble envoy's courage claimed a Kha'Vren commander's heart, an HFY sci-fi epic of valor and love, narrated in the third person. The galaxy was a crucible of cold fire, its stars forging empires in the relentless void. The Tari Dominion, with their neutron-forged warships and predatory ambition, had conquered half the Orion Arm before humanity even glimpsed the heavens. Their flagship, the Kha'Vren Ascendant, hung over Solace like a jagged claw, a monolith of black crystal and plasma, its spires pulsing with the arrogance of a civilization that saw all others as prey. Solace, a neutral trade world, was a vibrant mosaic of life. Scaled Dravic merchants bartered with glowing Solari diplomats, their voices a cacophony of clicks, hums, and growls, blending with the hum of hover drones carrying vats of sentient algae, quantum circuits, or vials of liquid starfire that burned brighter than a sun. Tari sentinels patrolled, their bio-drones, sleek, eyeless constructs, glinting with menace, their sensors scanning for dissent, casting a shadow of fear across the marketplace. To the Dominion, Solace was a jewel to be seized, its neutrality a fragile illusion under the Ascendant-S guns, its crystal spires trembling beneath the weight of impending conquest. In the heart of Solace's marketplace, Elias Kane was a shadow among giants. At 34, he was no warrior or conqueror, just a human envoy, Earth's xenoanthropologist turned cultural mediator to a galaxy that sneered at his kind. His gray eyes, sharp as a blade's edge, caught every detail. The flicker of a Dravic's crest signaling irritation, the subtle pulse of a Solari's bioluminescent skin betraying excitement, the twitch of a Tari sentinel's tail hinting at impatience. His neural implant hummed, translating 100 alien tongues in real time, feeding him a constant stream of linguistic nuances, while his data cube, a sleek, palm-sized device etched with human runes, projected holographic briefs on trade, culture, and diplomacy, its light casting faint patterns across his worn jacket. To the Tari, he was laughable. A soft-skinned primate, emotional and frail, his presence an insult to their predatory pride. But Elias was more. A weaver of connections, trained to unravel the intricacies of alien societies and find harmony in chaos. His career was a patchwork of unlikely triumphs. He'd brokered peace between warring Dravic clans by invoking their ancient honor codes, deciphered Solari poetry to avert a trade war, and once spent 3 days debating ethics with a rogue AI on a derelict station to prevent a rebellion. His training as a xenoanthropologist gave him an edge, allowing him to parse alien cultures with an almost instinctive clarity. Reading Tari war chants to understand their honor-bound aggression, decoding Solari light dances to uncover spiritual taboos, studying Dravic blood oaths to leverage their loyalty. His mind was his weapon, seeing patterns where others saw only discord, cultural, technological, and personal. Tonight, that gift would ignite a fire that would burn across the stars. Human. The voice sliced through the marketplace's din like a plasma blade, sharp and unyielding, silencing the crowd's murmurs. Commander Veritzal, High Blade of the Tari Dominion, strode toward him, her presence parting the crowd like a storm through a forest. 7 feet of iridescent scales shimmered beneath armor woven from liquid starlight, its surface rippling with light as if forged from a nebula, reflecting Solace's twin suns in a dazzling display. Her amber eyes burned with disdain, their glow piercing through the dim light, each pair narrowing as they fixed on Elias. Her venom-tipped tail, a weapon that could kill with a flick, swayed with controlled menace, its tip glinting like a poisoned star, a silent threat to all who dared approach. As the Dominion's chief strategist and commander of its elite Blade Corps, Vera was a legend, her mind a labyrinth of tactics, her victories carved in the ashes of fallen worlds. She'd orchestrated the fall of the Kryn conglomerate in a single campaign, outwitting entire fleets with strategies that seemed to anticipate every move, her blade claiming the lives of those who challenged her. She was not just a warrior but a force, her every move calculated to dominate, her presence a testament to Tari supremacy. You dare stand in Tari's shadow without tribute? She hissed, her voice a low growl that vibrated in Elias's chest, her tail coiling tightly, its venomous tip glinting as if eager to strike. Elias adjusted his data cube, its holograms flickering faintly, casting a soft glow across his face. His hand steady despite the pounding of his heart. His voice remained calm, honed by years of navigating alien tempers, his training as a xenoanthropologist keeping his fear in check. I'm here to talk, Commander, not to bow. Solace is neutral ground. Last I checked. Vera's laughter was a sharp, dangerous thing, her tail tightening its coil, its venomous tip cutting through the air with a faint hiss. Neutral? A fragile lie, Envoy. Your kind are soft, driven by fleeting emotions that crumble under pressure. She stepped closer, her breath hot with the metallic tang of ozone, her 4 eyes dissecting him like a specimen, searching for weakness in his stance. His gaze, his very breath. Her armor gleamed, its starlight weave reflecting the marketplace's lights, a reminder of her dominance, her scales shimmering with a faint flush of irritation. Why are you here, meddling in affairs beyond your frail grasp? Elias met her gaze, his jaw tight but his tone steady, his gray eyes locking onto her amber ones without flinching, a quiet defiance in their depths. To find common ground, to keep the galaxy from tearing itself apart. Someone's got to try, even if you think it's futile. The crowd stilled, alien murmurs fading into a tense silence, the air thick with anticipation. Dravic crests flaring, Solari skin pulsing faintly. Vera's lips curled, revealing serrated teeth that gleamed like polished obsidian. A predator's smile that promised retribution. Common ground? With prey? She scoffed, her tail flicking sharply, a warning to all who watched, its venomous tips slicing through the air with a faint hum. Tomorrow we negotiate Solace's annexation. Your words will mean nothing when you kneel. Elias's eyes darkened, a spark of defiance igniting within them, his voice steady but laced with steel, his posture unyielding despite the weight of her presence. Maybe, but I've seen things you haven't, Commander. Sometimes, the smallest voice can shift the stars. A ripple of shock swept the marketplace, a collective gasp from Dravic, Solari, and even Tari onlookers, their eyes wide with disbelief. No one spoke to a high blade like that, not a Dravic warlord, not a Solari high priest, and certainly not a human. Vera's tail froze, her amber eyes narrowing to slits, their glow piercing through the dim light, her scales shimmering with a faint flush of agitation, a rare crack in her composure. For a moment, the air crackled with unspoken danger, the crowd holding its breath, waiting for her to strike, her claws flexing faintly within her gauntlets. Bold words for a talker, she said, her voice low and lethal, a predator sizing up her prey, her tail twitching as if tempted to lash out. We shall see if they hold weight. With a snap of her starlight cloak, she turned and vanished into the throng, her scales catching the light in a cascade of iridescence, leaving Elias with the weight of 1,000 alien stares, their whispers carrying his name like a spark in dry grass. He exhaled, his hands trembling slightly, his neural implant buzzing faintly as it processed the encounter, translating the subtle shifts in Vera's posture. Anger? Yes, but also a flicker of intrigue, a nuance that set his mind racing. He didn't know it yet, but those words had marked him, not as prey, but as a riddle. And Vera Tzal, the Dominion's sharpest mind, despised riddles she couldn't solve. Solace was a living tapestry, a crossroads of the galaxy's ambitions. Crystal spires pulsed with Solari bioluminescence, casting rainbows over Dravic forges where molten metal sang in hypnotic rhythms, its heat shimmering in the air, the scent of forge fire mingling with the tang of alien spices. Hover drones wove through the skies, their cargoes a testament to Solace's role as a galactic hub. Vats of sentient algae that whispered in low frequencies, their thoughts a faint hum detectable only by Solari. Quantum circuits that powered entire cities, their circuits glowing with latent energy. Vials of liquid starfire that burned brighter than a sun, their light casting eerie shadows across the spires. The marketplace thrummed with 100 languages. Dravik clicks sharp as breaking glass, Solari melodies that wove emotion into sound, Tari commands growled with authority, their guttural tones echoing off the crystal walls. Tari bio-drones, sleek and eyeless, patrolled above, their sensors glinting like malevolent stars, enforcing the Dominion's looming presence, their hum a constant reminder of the Ascendantist shadow. Solace was neutral, but neutrality was a tightrope stretched taut beneath the Ascendantist guns, its silhouette a dark promise of conquest. Elias moved through the chaos, his data cube projecting trade agreements and cultural analyses, its holograms flickering in the dim light of Solace's twin suns, casting patterns across his path, their light weaving a web of information only he could fully decipher. Earth's coalition, a fledgling player on the galactic stage, relied on him to protect its colonies from Tari expansion, to carve a place for humanity in a galaxy that dismissed them as insignificant. His role wasn't conquest but connection. Reading alien subtext, finding leverage in gestures and glances, building bridges where others saw only walls. His past was a patchwork of unlikely triumphs. He'd mediated a truce between Dravik clans by invoking their ancient honor codes, turning a blood feud into an alliance with a single speech that resonated with their pride. He'd deciphered Solari poetry to uncover a hidden trade embargo, saving Earth's fledgling colonies from economic collapse by negotiating a new trade route. He'd once spent 3 days debating ethics with a rogue AI on a derelict station, convincing it to stand down by appealing to its logic, saving a sector from chaos with words alone. His training as a xenoanthropologist gave him an edge, allowing him to parse alien cultures with an almost instinctive clarity. Reading Tari war chants to understand their honor-bound aggression, their rhythms revealing a culture forged in conquest. Decoding Solari light dances to uncover spiritual taboos, their patterns a map of their beliefs. Studying Dravik blood oaths to leverage their loyalty, their rituals a testament to bonds forged in fire. But the Tari were different. They saw no value in humanity, only weakness, their culture built on the supremacy of strength and the erasure of the frail. To them, Elias was a fleeting amusement, a curiosity to be dismissed, until he proved otherwise. His latest task was a Tari-Comms relay, a towering spire of black crystal pulsing with encrypted signals that connected the Ascendant to the Dominion's vast network, a lifeline for their fleet's coordination across the Orion Arm. A glitch had crippled their communications, disrupting orders across their armada, sowing confusion among their ships, and Elias, with his knack for cross-species systems, was summoned to consult. Suspicion gnawed at him. This was no diplomatic task, but a test of his worth, perhaps orchestrated by Vera herself to gauge the human who defied her, to see if his boldness was mere bravado or something more. The relay's chamber was a cathedral of technology, its walls alive with runes that flickered like trapped stars, casting eerie shadows across the floor, their light pulsing in time with the hum of the relay's core, a deep thrum that resonated in Elias's bones. Vera stood at its heart, her armor replaced by a tactical mesh that clung to her scales like a second skin, accentuating her predatory grace, her movements fluid yet deliberate, her scales shimmering faintly under the chamber's light. 2 Tari guards flanked her, their tails twitching with barely restrained hostility, their claws flexing as if eager to strike, their scales a dull contrast to Vera's iridescent brilliance, their eyes narrowed with contempt. "You again?" Vera said, her voice laced with irritation, though her 4 eyes betrayed a flicker of curiosity, a spark that hadn't been there before, her tail swaying slightly as if testing the air. "A human envoy tampering with Tari systems. Do you spy? Or are you merely reckless?" Elias set his data cube on a console, its holograms blooming into a web of data streams that danced in the air, illuminating the chamber in a soft glow, their patterns weaving a map of the relay's systems, a labyrinth of code and signals. "Neither. I'm here to help. Your relay's dropping signals could be sabotage, could be a fault. I can find the pattern." Vera's tail twitched, a rare sign of unease, her scales catching the light in a subtle shimmer, her 4 eyes narrowing slightly as she studied him. "You presume to grasp our technology?" Her voice was sharp, but her gaze lingered on his hands, steady and precise as they worked, a human defying her expectations, her tail swaying faintly as if intrigued. "I grasp systems, Elias said, his fingers dancing over the console, navigating the alien interface with practiced ease, his neural implant buzzing as it translated the Tari interface's dense syntax. Its commands a reflection of their obsession with control. Tech, culture, people, they're all patterns. I find the signal in the noise. Her 4 eyes studied him, unblinking, their amber glow piercing through the dim chamber, searching for flaws but finding none, her scales shimmering faintly as if mirroring his focus. Your kind are emotional, fragile, yet you speak with such certainty. Her tail swayed slightly, a sign she was listening, weighing his words, her voice softening almost imperceptibly, a crack in her predatory facade. Elias glanced up, a faint smile tugging at his lips, his gray eyes meeting hers without fear, a quiet defiance in their depths that made her pause. Emotion's not a flaw, Commander. It's a lens. It lets me see what you overlook. One of the guards snarled, his claws flexing, his tail lashing in agitation, his scales bristling with contempt, his voice a low growl of disdain. But Vera silenced him with a glance, her own tail stilling as if to steady herself, her 4 eyes narrowing as she considered Elias's words. Prove it, Envoy. Find the fault. He worked for hours, tracing data streams through the relay's labyrinthine code, his data cube humming as it processed terabytes of encrypted signals, its holograms shifting in a dizzying array of patterns, illuminating the chamber in a cascade of light. The air grew heavy, Vera's presence a constant pressure at his back, her guards muttering in low, guttural tones, their words laced with contempt, their tails twitching with impatience, their claws clicking against the floor. But she remained silent, her eyes never leaving him, her scales shimmering faintly as if reflecting his focus, her tail swaying gently as if drawn to his rhythm. The chamber hummed with the relay's energy, its runes pulsing in rhythm with Elias's heartbeat, their light casting eerie shadows across his face, highlighting the sweat beading on his brow. He cross-referenced Tari protocols with Solari encryption techniques, his mind weaving connections others would miss, his neural implant buzzing with translations of error codes that revealed a culture built on dominance. He recalled a Dravic technique for masking signals, adapting it to bypass the relay's firewalls, his fingers moving with a precision that belied his human frailty, his data cube projecting a web of data that grew more complex with each discovery. He dove deeper, uncovering a subtle anomaly, a signal loop buried in the relay's core, rerouting commands to an unknown source, a hidden thread in the Dominion's network. Finally, he isolated the issue, a deliberate hack, buried deep in the system's core, using Tari tech against itself, a betrayal from within, its signature unmistakable. Not a fault, he said, wiping sweat from his brow, his voice steady despite the strain, his hands trembling slightly from the effort, his eyes meeting Vera's with a quiet certainty. Someone's tampering. Kari tech, repurposed. Check your inner circle. Vera's scales flushed, a shimmer of agitation rippling across her form, her tail coiling tightly, its venomous tip glinting in the chamber's light, a sign of her barely contained fury. You suggest treason? Her voice was a low hiss, her 4 eyes narrowing to slits, but there was a flicker of respect in their depths, a recognition of his insight, a crack in her predatory facade that made her seem almost vulnerable. I suggest you look closer, Elias said, his voice firm but calm, meeting her gaze without flinching. His gray eyes steady despite the weight of her scrutiny, his posture unyielding. Before your house burns. Her eyes lingered on him, a storm of emotions swirling within their amber depths, her tail stilling as if to anchor her thoughts, her scales shimmering with a mix of agitation and intrigue. She nodded curtly, a gesture that carried the weight of her authority, her voice softening almost imperceptibly. We shall see, human. She gestured to her guards, who escorted Elias out, their glares burning into his back, their tails lashing in frustration, their claws clicking against the floor in a rhythm of barely restrained hostility. As he left, he felt her gaze linger. A puzzle she couldn't yet solve, a spark she couldn't extinguish, her scales shimmering with a faint flush that betrayed her composure. The days grew tense as the Tari negotiations unfolded, a velvet glove over a fist of ultimatums, the Ascendant's shadow looming over Solace like a storm about to break. Solace's fate hung in the balance, its neutrality crumbling under the Dominion's pressure, the marketplace's vibrancy dimming under the weight of fear. Elias worked tirelessly, weaving through diplomatic summits, decoding alien intent, and quietly rallying Solari and Dravic envoys to resist Tari pressure. His data cube hummed with activity, projecting cultural analyses that revealed hidden leverage, Dravic honor codes that bound them to protect the weak, their oaths a steel thread in their culture. Solari spiritual taboos that revered Solace as a sacred crossroads, a place where the galaxy's threads converged under the light of the first star. He met with the Solari High Priest in a crystal temple, its walls pulsing with bioluminescent light, their glow shifting in time with the priest's emotions. Elias spoke of Solace's role as a galactic haven, his words weaving a narrative of unity that resonated with the priest's beliefs, invoking the Solari myth of the first light, a prophecy of unity under the stars, his voice steady as he wove their beliefs into a call for resistance. The priest's skin glowed brighter, a sign of agreement, her eyes shimmering with conviction as she pledged her temple's support, her light dance sealing the pact in a cascade of colors. Later, he shared a Dravic fire ale with a clan leader in a smoky tavern, its walls etched with battle scars, the air thick with the scent of forge fire and blood oaths. Elias earned their grudging respect with a tale of human endurance, a story of a human colony surviving a supernova's fallout through sheer grit, a tale that mirrored the Dravic's own reverence for survival, its details striking a chord in the warrior's heart. The clan leader slammed his fist on the table, a Dravic gesture of respect, his crest flaring as he pledged his ships to Solace's defense, his voice a growl of approval, his eyes glinting with a rare camaraderie. Whispers spread through Solace. The human who challenged Vera, who saw truths others missed, who wove unity from chaos, his name becoming a rallying cry among the oppressed. Vera watched him, her disdain eroding into fascination, a shift she couldn't fully comprehend, her scales shimmering with a mix of confusion and intrigue, her tail swaying faintly as she studied him. From the Ascendant's command deck, a vast chamber of swirling nebulae and pulsing runes, their light casting her silhouette in sharp relief, she studied feeds of Elias in the marketplace. He diffused a Dravic's rage with a well-timed jest, his laughter disarming the warrior's pride, turning a potential brawl into a shared drink, the Dravic's crest lowering in respect, a rare sight for such a proud species. He taught a Solari child to fold an origami star, his hands gentle as the child's skin glowed with delight, her parents watching with rare approval, their bioluminescence pulsing in time with their emotions, a sign of trust. He shared a quiet moment with a weary traitor, his empathy easing their burdens, his words drawing a rare smile from a face worn by years of hardship, his voice a balm in the chaos. To the Tari, emotion was weakness, a flaw to be purged, a hindrance to their pursuit of dominance. Yet Elias wielded it like a master's blade, sharp and unerring, cutting through barriers of mistrust with a precision that rivaled Vera's own strategies, his actions a quiet rebellion against her kind's beliefs. It unsettled her, this human who saw patterns where she saw only chaos, whose quiet courage challenged her understanding of strength, her scales flushing faintly as she watched him. She sought him out in Solace's archives, a vault of crystal tablets glowing with galactic history, their light casting eerie patterns across the walls, their hum a soft counterpoint to the silence, the air heavy with the weight of centuries. Elias was cross-referencing Tari treaties, his data cube projecting a web of alliances and betrayals that spanned centuries, his fingers tracing patterns only he could see, his neural implant buzzing as it processed ancient texts, their syntax revealing a culture forged in conquest. The chamber was quiet, save for the soft hum of the tablets and the faint rustle of Vera's cloak as she approached, her scales catching the light in a subtle shimmer, her movements deliberate yet hesitant. "You never stop," she said, her voice softer now, almost curious, a departure from her usual commanding tone, her tail swaying gently, its venomous tip glinting faintly in the dim light. She stood closer than protocol demanded, her presence a mix of authority and uncertainty, her four eyes studying him with an intensity that made the air hum. "Why do you care for this world, human? It is not yours. Elias looked up, his eyes tired but bright with purpose, reflecting the glow of the tablets, his data cube casting faint patterns across his face, his expression soft but unyielding. Because it's a crossroads. If Solace falls, so do the bridges between us all. I'm not here for Earth alone. I'm here for everyone. Vera's tail curled, her 4 eyes narrowing, studying him as if he were a star chart she couldn't decipher. Her scales shimmering with a mix of curiosity and unease, her voice softening further. You speak of unity, yet your kind are scattered, weak. What can you offer the galaxy? Hope? Elias said simply, his voice steady, his gaze unwavering, his gray eyes meeting her amber ones with a quiet defiance that made her pause. The stubborn kind. The kind that keeps going when everything says stop. She stepped closer, her scales catching the archive's bioluminescent glow, casting a soft shimmer across her form, her tail stilling as if to anchor her thoughts, her 4 eyes flickering with something new. Curiosity, perhaps, or something deeper. You are strange, reckless, yet I cannot look away. Her voice held a note of confusion, a crack in her iron resolve, her scales flushing faintly, a shimmer of vulnerability rippling across her form, a rare sight for Atari. Elias's breath caught, but he held her gaze, a faint smile playing on his lips, his heart racing at her proximity, his voice soft but sure. Good. Maybe you'll see something worth keeping. The air between them crackled, unspoken tension simmering like a star about to ignite. The hum of the tablets a faint backdrop to their words, the silence heavy with possibility. Vera's eyes flickered, her scales flushing deeper, a shimmer of vulnerability that shook her to her core. She turned abruptly, her cloak swirling like a nebula, and left without a word, her scales shimmering with a faint flush that betrayed her composure, her tail twitching as if reluctant to leave, her heart racing with a warmth she couldn't name. Chaos erupted days later. A quantum reactor in Solace's lower docks exploded, a sabotage meant to cripple the planet's defenses, plunging the city into chaos. Fire roared through the underbelly of the city, metal buckling under the heat, screams echoing through the smoke, the air thick with the scent of charred circuits and molten crystal, the ground trembling with aftershocks. Elias, nearby mediating a Solari-Dravik dispute in a Spire-top council chamber, didn't hesitate. His data cube hacked emergency vents, rerouting plasma flows to contain the blaze, its holograms flickering as he worked under pressure, his neural implant buzzing with real-time diagnostics, feeding him a stream of data that guided his actions. He plunged into the wreckage, guiding survivors, a mix of Solari, Dravik, and Tari, through choking haze to safety, his hands blistered, his face streaked with soot, his lungs burning with every breath, his vision blurring from the smoke. His training as a xenoanthropologist guided him, his voice shifting seamlessly between cultures. A Solari prayer to calm a trembling priest, its cadence soothing her glowing skin, her bioluminescence steadying under his words. A Dravik battle cry to rally a wounded warrior, igniting their pride, their crest flaring as they staggered to their feet. A Tari honor vow to steady a shaken diplomat, invoking their code of loyalty, their scales shimmering with gratitude. He moved with a quiet urgency, his empathy a beacon in the chaos, his neural implant translating cries for help into actionable plans, his data cube projecting escape routes through the smoke, its light cutting through the haze like a star. Vera arrived like a tempest, her armor scorched as she tore through debris with raw strength, her blades slicing through twisted metal like paper, her scales gleaming through the smoke, her tail lashing to clear a path. Her 4 eyes scanned the chaos for threats, their amber glow piercing through the haze, her movements a deadly dance of precision and fury. She found Elias dragging a wounded Takari diplomat to safety, his body trembling with exhaustion but his eyes fierce with resolve, his hands bloodied but steady, his face etched with determination. "Fool!" she hissed, pulling him upright, her claws gentle despite her tone, her tail hovering protectively, its venomous tip glinting in the firelight, a silent promise of defense. "You risk your life for those who scorn you?" Elias coughed, his voice raw, his lungs burning from the smoke, his vision blurring but his resolve unbroken. his gray eyes meeting hers with a quiet intensity. Didn't think, just acted. Someone had to. Her four eyes widened, amber stars glowing in the haze, their light softening as they met his, a flicker of awe in their depths, a recognition of his courage that shook her to her core. For the first time, she saw him, not as a weakling, but as a force, unyielding in his quiet courage, a human who defied her understanding of strength. "You are reckless," she murmured, her grip softening, her tail brushing his leg almost imperceptibly, a gesture that sent a shiver through him despite the pain, her scales flushing faintly with a warmth she couldn't name. And, extraordinary, they worked as one, her strength and his ingenuity saving the trapped delegation. Vera tore through collapsed beams, her scales glinting through the smoke, her blade a blur of precision, her tail lashing to clear debris with lethal force. Elias hacked into the dock systems to stabilize the reactor, his data cube projecting diagnostics in a flurry of light, his fingers moving with a speed born of desperation, his neural implant buzzing with real-time updates, guiding his actions with surgical precision. He whispered encouragement to a terrified Solari, his voice steady despite the chaos, his words echoing their myths of resilience, calming her glowing skin as she followed his lead. He guided a Dravik warrior to safety with a shared nod of respect, their mutual understanding forged in the heat of survival, the warrior's crest flaring in acknowledgement, a rare sign of camaraderie. As they pulled the last survivor free, a Tari diplomat gasped her thanks, her eyes wide with shock at the human who'd saved her, her scales shimmering with gratitude, a rare sight for her kind, her voice trembling with awe. When the flames died, they stood amidst the wreckage, surrounded by survivors, the air heavy with the scent of charred metal and gratitude, the ground still warm beneath their feet. Vera's tail was still, her gaze locked on Elias, her four eyes searching his face, a storm of emotion swirling within their amber depths, her scales flushed with a warmth she couldn't deny. "Why?" she demanded, her voice low, almost pleading, a crack in her predatory facade that made her seem almost human. "Why save those who mock you?" Elias met her eyes, pain etched into his features, his hands trembling but his voice firm, his gray eyes steady despite the exhaustion, his breath ragged but resolute. "Because I know what it's like to be underestimated. And because I think you're worth saving, too." Her breath hitched, her scales shimmering with an unfamiliar heat, a deep flush rippling across her form, a sign of vulnerability no Tkari should show, a testament to the depth of her feelings. No one had ever spoken to her with such raw conviction, such reckless courage, such unyielding faith. Her tail curled closer, almost touching him, its venomous tip still but deliberate, a gesture of trust that shook her to her core, her four eyes shimmering with something new, longing, perhaps, or love. "You are a mystery, Elias Kane," she whispered, her voice trembling with something she couldn't name, a feeling that threatened to unravel her. Her scales flushed with a warmth that burned brighter than the flames they'd quelled. "And I am undone." The survivors watched in stunned silence, their whispers carrying through the crowd. The human and the high blade, side by side, defying the galaxy's scorn, their bond a beacon in the chaos. The moment lingered, a fragile bridge between worlds, until Vera turned away, her cloak snapping, her scales still flushed as she strode into the fading smoke, her heart racing with a warmth she couldn't deny, her tail twitching as if reluctant to leave him, her mind reeling with the weight of his words. The sabotage was no accident. A rogue Tari faction, led by General Karath, a disgraced strategist exiled for his ruthless ambition, had planted the bomb to force Solace's annexation, a move to cement his power and erase Vera's influence. The explosion was meant to destabilize the planet, shattering its defenses and paving the way for the Dominion's conquest. A calculated strike to exploit Solace's fragility, its neutrality a weakness in Karath's eyes. War loomed, and the fragile threads of neutrality began to fray, threatening to unravel the planet's delicate balance, the marketplace's vibrancy dimming under the weight of fear. Elias was summoned to the Ascendant, a rare honor or a trap, his instincts warning him of the danger. The command deck was a marvel of Tari engineering, its walls alive with holographic nebulae that swirled like living galaxies, runes pulsing like heartbeats, their light casting Vera's silhouette in sharp relief, her presence a storm contained within a star. She stood at its center, her starlight cloak cascading like a nebula, her eyes troubled, her tail swaying with barely concealed agitation, her scales catching the light in a subtle dance of color that betrayed her unease, her 4 eyes searching his face as he entered. "You see what others miss," she said, her voice softer than he'd ever heard it, a note of respect threading through her words, a crack in her usual authority that made her seem almost vulnerable, her tail stilling as she spoke. "Speak, Envoy. How do we stop this madness?" Elias's mind raced, piecing together fragments. Comms logs, reactor schematics, whispers from Solace's underbelly, each a thread in a tapestry of treachery. He'd spent nights in the marketplace, listening to traders' gossip, cross-referencing it with his datacube's analyses, building a web of clues that pointed to betrayal. He'd overheard a Dravic mercenary mention a shadow signal, a faint trace of Tari tech used against its own kind, a clue that had set him on the path to uncovering Karatha's plot, his neural implant buzzing as he pieced together the puzzle. "Karatha's using your own tech against you," he said, his datacube projecting a web of intercepted signals that danced in the air, illuminating the deck in a cascade of light, their patterns revealing a hidden network of treachery, a labyrinth of deceit woven into the Dominion systems. Hacked drones, rerouted commands. Check the Ascendant S shadow network. His orders are hidden there, masked as routine transmissions. Vera's eyes blazed, her tail lashing, its venomous tip glinting like a star, her scales darkening with fury, her claws flexing within her gauntlets. "You are certain? Certain enough to bet my life?" Elias said, his voice steady, his gaze unwavering, meeting her for amber eyes with a quiet defiance that made her pause, her scales shimmering faintly with a mix of anger and respect, her tail stilling as she considered his words. She dove into the network, her claws flying over the console, her mind as sharp as any blade, her movements precise and relentless, her scales shimmering with a fierce intensity. Elias stood beside her, his data cube feeding her additional data, their movements synchronized as they unraveled Karatha's plot, their minds working as one, a partnership forged in the heat of necessity. The logs revealed his betrayal, a coup to seize Solace and discredit Vera, positioning himself as the Dominion's savior, a plan woven with ruthless precision, its threads hidden in the shadows of the Dominion's network. Her rage was a quiet, terrifying thing, her scales darkening to a stormy hue, her tail coiling tightly as if to strike, her eyes burning with a fire that could consume worlds, her voice a low growl as she processed the betrayal. She confronted Karath before the Tari Council, her blade at his throat, her voice a storm that silenced the chamber, her presence a force that demanded submission, her scales shimmering with a righteous fury. "You betray the Dominion. And me." Karatha's confession shattered the Council's trust, his words spilling like poison as he admitted his plans, his scales dulling under the weight of his failure, his 4 eyes dimming with defeat. He was stripped of rank, imprisoned in a stasis vault aboard the Ascendant, his body suspended in a field of cold light, and the annexation was halted, for now. But Vera's faith in her own kind cracked, her world shaken by the human who'd seen the truth, who'd stood beside her without fear, his quiet courage a mirror to her own strength, his empathy a contrast to her kind's ruthlessness. She sought Elias in Solace's crystal gardens, where bioluminescent vines glowed under the light of triple moons, casting a soft, ethereal light across the landscape, their hum a gentle counterpoint to the silence, the air heavy with the scent of alien flora. He sat on a bench, staring at the stars, his datacube idle in his lap, its faint hum a reminder of his tireless work, his face etched with the weariness of his efforts. "You were right," she said, her voice raw with vulnerability, a sound no Tari should make, her scales shimmering with a mix of gratitude and unease, her tail swaying gently as she approached. She stood before him, her armor replaced by a flowing cloak that shimmered like a nebula, its light catching the moonlight in a cascade of colors, her 4 eyes searching his face. "I judged you wrongly. You're kind. You are not weak." Elias smiled, tired but warm, his gray eyes reflecting the moonlight, soft but unyielding, his face etched with the quiet strength that had won her heart. We're just stubborn. We keep going, even when it hurts. Vera sat beside him, her tail curling close, almost brushing his leg, a deliberate gesture that sent a shiver through him, her scales catching the moonlight in a soft shimmer, her presence a mix of strength and vulnerability. Strength is not only in blades or conquest. You showed me that. Her 4 eyes met his, their amber glow softened by something new. Uncertainty, longing, a crack in her iron resolve that made her seem almost human, her voice trembling faintly. This feeling, Elias, this warmth that unsettles me. What is it? His heart raced, but his smile was steady, his voice soft but sure, his gray eyes meeting her amber ones with a quiet intensity that made her breath catch. Sounds like you're falling for a human, high blade. Her scales flushed, a deep shimmer rippling across her form, her tail stilling as if caught in the act, a sign of vulnerability that shook her to her core, her 4 eyes widening slightly. Impossible, she whispered, but she leaned closer, her breath mingling with his, warm and faintly metallic, her eyes searching his face for answers, her claws flexing faintly as if resisting the urge to reach for him. Yet, show me, human. Show me this fire. Their kiss was tentative at first, a fragile bridge between worlds, a moment suspended in the glow of the vines, the hum of the gardens a soft backdrop, the air heavy with possibility. Then it deepened, fierce and unyielding, a collision of steel and spark, of predator and dreamer, their differences melting in the heat of their connection. Her scales were cool against his skin, her claws gentle as they rested on his shoulders, her tail curling around his wrist like a tether, a gesture of trust that shook him to his core, her 4 eyes closing as she surrendered to the moment. The stars above bore witness to a love that defied the galaxy's scorn, a quiet rebellion against a universe that called them weak, their bond a beacon in the darkness. The peace was short-lived. Korath escaped, his loyalists smuggling him from confinement in a daring raid that left the Ascendant Esprig in ruins, a calculated strike that humiliated the Dominion's security, their drones shattered, their guards outwitted. He rallied a rogue fleet, stolen Takari warships and mercenary vessels crewed by Dravic outcasts and rogue Solari, to seize Solace by force, a desperate bid to reclaim his power, his ambition a fire that burned without reason. The skies above the planet erupted in chaos, plasma beams lancing through the void, ships crumbling under the Ascendant's wrath, their wreckage scattering like stars, the air trembling with the roar of engines and the scream of weapons. Vera led the defense from the command deck, her heart torn between duty and the man who changed her, her orders precise, her blade ready, her scales shimmering with a mix of fury and fear, her 4 eyes scanning the feeds for threats. Her eyes kept drifting to the feeds showing Elias's Wayfarer, a patched-up human vessel darting through the chaos, its hull scarred but defiant, a testament to human resilience, its movements a dance of desperation and defiance. Elias refused to flee. He was no warrior, but his mind was a weapon, his datacube a tool of chaos, his neural implant buzzing as he wove a web of deception. Hacking into the rogue fleet's comms, he sowed discord with false signals, turning ally against ally, his datacube humming as he intercepted and altered their commands, his fingers moving with a speed born of necessity. He sent coded messages to Solari and Dravic allies, rallying them to bolster Solace's defenses, his words weaving a fragile alliance against Koratha's forces, his voice carrying the weight of his conviction across encrypted channels. He spoke of Solace as a beacon, a place where all could stand equal, his words a call to arms that resonated with the oppressed, his datacube projecting a web of alliances that held the line. The Solari responded with light drones that disrupted enemy sensors, their glowing patterns weaving a web of confusion, their movements a dance of defiance that lit the skies with hope. Dravic warships, bound by honor, flanked the Ascendant in a rare show of solidarity, their captains roaring Elias's name as a battle cry, a testament to the respect he'd earned through his actions, their crests flaring as they plunged into the fray. But Korath was relentless, his fleet pressing the attack, his ships weaving through Solace's orbit like predators circling prey, their weapons tearing through the planet's defenses. Elias boarded the rogue flagship. Slipping through its defenses with a stolen Tari stealth drive, he'd adapted with Solari cloaking tech. His data cube guiding him through the ship's labyrinthine systems, its holograms flickering in the dim light of the corridors, their light a lifeline in the darkness. His goal was the quantum core, a volatile power source that could cripple the ship, turning the tide of the battle, a desperate gambit to save Solace. Alone in the enemy's heart, he rewired the core's relays, his hand steady despite the blood dripping from a wound in his side, sustained during a skirmish with a mercenary drone that had grazed him with a plasma bolt, its heat searing his flesh, his vision blurring from the pain. The ship's corridors echoed with the clatter of drones and the roars of Tari mercenaries, their scales glinting in the dim light, their tails lashing as they hunted him, their voices a cacophony of rage. But Elias moved like a ghost, his data cube projecting a map of the ship's layout, his neural implant buzzing with real-time translations of enemy chatter, guiding his steps through the labyrinth. He recalled a Solari technique for masking energy signatures, adapting it to cloak his movements from the ship's sensors, his mind racing to stay one step ahead, his heart pounding with the weight of the task, his breath ragged but resolute. Korath found him, his blade gleaming with malice, his scales dark with rage, his tail lashing like a whip, its venomous tip glinting in the dim light, his armor pulsing with dark energy that crackled in the air. "You, human?" he sneered, his four eyes narrowing, his voice dripping with contempt, his claws flexing as if eager to tear Elias apart. "You think you can stop me?" Elias, panting, grinned through the pain, his arm numb from the venom's graze, his vision blurring but his resolve unbroken, his data cube humming in his hand, its light a faint beacon in the darkness. "Don't need to stop you, just need to slow you down." The general lunged, his blade a blur, but Elias dodged, his human agility surprising Korath, his movements honed by years of surviving hostile worlds, his training as a xenoanthropologist teaching him to anticipate and adapt. He wasn't a fighter, but he'd learned to endure. Dravik sparring sessions had taught him to move fast. Solari meditation had taught him to stay calm under pressure, his mind a weapon as sharp as any blade. He activated a jury-rigged EMP pulse from his data cube, staggering Korath's bio-armor, the general scales flickering as his systems faltered, his movements slowing, his roar of frustration echoing through the corridor. Korath's tail whipped toward Elias, its venomous tip grazing his arm again, sending a fresh wave of pain through him, his knees buckling but his hands still working, his fingers rerouting the core's final relays with a desperate precision. Alarms blared, the ship shuddering as the core destabilized, its energy spiking dangerously, threatening to tear the vessel apart, its walls groaning under the strain, the air heavy with the scent of ozone and burning circuits. Vera's shuttle breached the flagship's hull, her blade a blur as she cut through Korath's guards, her movements a deadly dance of precision and fury, her scales gleaming like a storm, her tail lashing with lethal intent, her four eyes blazing with a fire that could consume worlds. She reached Elias as Korath's weapon descended, her venom-tipped tail striking like lightning, its poison paralyzing the general instantly, his body collapsing in a heap, his scales dulling as his plans crumbled like ash, his four eyes dimming with defeat. Vera caught Elias as he staggered, his wounds deep but not fatal, his breath ragged, his blood staining her armor, his face pale but defiant, his gray eyes meeting hers with a quiet intensity. "You reckless fool," she whispered, cradling him against her armored chest, her claws gentle as they brushed his bloodied cheek, her tail curling protectively around him, its tip still but warm against his skin, a gesture of love that transcended species. "You could have died. Worth it?" Elias rasped, his hand brushing her cheek, leaving a smear of blood on her scales, his gray eyes meeting her amber ones with a quiet defiance that made her heart race, his voice weak but resolute. "For you. For Solace." Her eyes shimmered, tears alien to her kind, glistening like stars in her amber gaze, a sight no Tkari had ever shown, a testament to the depth of her feelings, her scales flushed with a warmth that burned brighter than the stars. "You are my strength, Elias Kane, my spark." Her voice broke, a sound no Tkari should make, and she pressed her forehead to his, her scales cool against his fevered skin. her tail tightening around his wrist as if to anchor him to her, her four eyes closing as she held him close. Together, they disabled the flagship's core, Elias's final adjustments triggering a controlled shutdown that left the ship dead in the void. Its systems dark, its threat extinguished, its wreckage drifting like a ghost in Solace's orbit. The Ascendant's precision strikes dismantled the rogue fleet, supported by Solari and Dravik allies who fought with a ferocity born of newfound unity. Their ships weaving through the chaos like a symphony of defiance, their light drones and warships a testament to the alliance Elias had forged. Solace's skies cleared as the wreckage drifted into the void, the planet's crystal spires glowing defiantly under the triple moons, a beacon of hope in a galaxy on the brink, their light a promise of a new dawn. The Tari Council, humbled by Vera's victory and Karatha's betrayal, granted Solace autonomy, a rare concession that shook the Dominion's foundations, a testament to the power of unity over conquest, a victory won not by blades but by hearts. Vera resigned as High Blade, her decision reverberating through Tari society, a rejection of conquest for a higher purpose, her scales shimmering with a quiet pride as she chose a new path. She became Solace's co-ambassador, alongside Elias, her equal in a way no Tari could fathom, their partnership a living challenge to the galaxy's divisions, a beacon for those who dared to dream of unity. Months later, they stood in Solace's crystal gardens, hand in hand, under the light of triple moons, their glow casting a soft, ethereal light across the landscape, the air heavy with the scent of alien flora and the hum of bioluminescent vines. The vines glowed softly, their light dancing across Vera's scales and Elias's quiet smile, their patterns weaving a tapestry of hope that seemed to pulse with the planet's heartbeat, a living testament to their victory. Solace thrived as a beacon of unity, its bridges rebuilt by a human's stubborn hope and a Tari's fierce resolve, its marketplace buzzing with new energy. Dravik and Solari traders worked side by side, their distrust replaced by tentative alliances, their stalls filled with goods that spoke of a shared future. Solari light crystals that pulsed with emotion, Dravik forged blades etched with symbols of peace, even human artifacts like woven fabrics and data slates, a testament to Earth's growing presence in the galaxy. Tari sentinels patrolled with less menace, their biodrones recalibrated to protect rather than intimidate, a sign of the Dominion's shifting perspective, a reluctant acknowledgement of Solace's new role as a haven for all. Whispers of Elias and Vera's story spread, carried by traders and diplomats across the Orion Arm, their tale becoming a legend. The Envoy and the High Blade, the spark that defied a universe, a story of courage and love that reshaped the stars, a beacon for those who dared to dream. Elias looked at Vera, his gray eyes soft but unyielding, reflecting the moonlight like a calm sea, his face etched with the quiet strength that had won her heart, his hand warm against her scaled palm. Think we'll ever stop fighting for this place? Vera's tail curled around his wrist, a gentle tether, her scales shimmering with a quiet joy that softened her predatory features, her four eyes glowing with a tenderness that defied her kind's nature, her voice a melody that carried the weight of her transformation. Not as long as you are by my side, human. Her voice was warm, a sound no Kari had ever sung, a testament to the depth of her feelings, her scales flushed with a warmth that burned brighter than the moons above. You taught me to see the stars differently, he chuckled, pulling her closer, his hand resting on her scaled arm, cool and smooth under his touch, a contrast to the warmth of his smile, his gray eyes meeting her amber ones with a quiet intensity. And you taught me to reach them. They stood together, their silhouettes framed against the glowing vines, a human and a Tari bound by a love that had reshaped a world, their bond a bridge between worlds that no empire could break. The galaxy watched, its stars whispering their story, a tale of courage, defiance, and a spark that burned brighter than any sun. As co-ambassadors, they faced new challenges, mediating disputes between species, forging trade agreements that balanced power and fairness, navigating the delicate balance of Solace's autonomy in a galaxy still rife with tension. They met with Solari priests to codify Solace's spiritual significance, ensuring its protection under galactic law, their negotiations a delicate dance of words and light, their data cube projecting treaties that wove unity into law. They negotiated with Dravic clan leaders, turning their martial pride into a force for peacekeeping. Their blades now sworn to Solace's defense, their crests flaring with pride as they stood beside Elias and Vera. They even faced Tari emissaries, Vera's former peers, who now regarded her with a mix of awe and unease. Her bond with Elias a living challenge to their beliefs, her scales shimmering with a quiet defiance as she stood by his side, her tail curling protectively around him. Their days were filled with work, but their nights were their own, moments stolen in the quiet of the gardens or aboard the Wayfarer, now docked in Solace's orbit as a symbol of their partnership, its hull patched but proud. They shared stories, Elias of Earth's oceans and mountains, their beauty a distant memory he painted with words, his voice soft with nostalgia. Vera of Tari war songs and the nebulae where her people were born, her voice a melody that carried the weight of her heritage, her scales shimmering as she spoke. They laughed over Dravic fire ale, its burn a reminder of their shared victories, the tavern's warmth a contrast to the galaxy's cold, their laughter echoing off the walls. They danced under the moons, Vera's scales catching the light as Elias guided her through human steps, her tail swaying in time with the music of their laughter, her movements graceful despite her warrior's strength, her 4 eyes glowing with a joy that softened her features. Their bond grew stronger, a bridge between worlds that no empire could break, a testament to the power of connection in a universe of conflict, their love a fire that warmed the stars. The narrator's voice softens, warm and wistful, carrying the weight of a story that will echo through the ages. A beacon for those who dare to dream of unity in a galaxy torn by strife, a testament to the power of love and courage. Under Solace's triple moons, a human envoy and a Tari warrior stood together, their love a quiet rebellion against a galaxy that called them weak. Elias Kane was no warrior, but his courage, his stubborn human heart, had reshaped a world. In Vera's eyes, he was a star bright, unyielding, and hers. Their story echoed through the void, a testament to the galaxy, that even the smallest spark, kindled by love and defiance, can ignite a fire to warm a universe.